Okay. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Worcester's Summer Sunday morning worship service. We're glad that you have joined us this morning, either in person or online. Today is another step back from our time in pandemic response as we move into a multi-platform worship mode. We hope that this service gives you an opportunity to pause for a few minutes, to gather in community so that we might care for each other, take a moment to reflect on our own well-being, and discover opportunities for spiritual refreshment and service in the wider world. This is the final summer service before we begin our church year, I believe. Yes. Please visit www.uucworcester.org for more information on our religious exploration activities, as well as other opportunities to meet for discussion and support. For those of you joining us on Zoom this morning, for safety purposes, so that we might come to know you better as you are able, please list your name on your video feed. Please note that this service is being live streamed on Facebook and is being recorded for future availability on the church YouTube channel, as well as our website worship archive. Following the service this morning, you are invited to join us for virtual fellowship hour online or to stay for conversation in person. We usually clang the thing, ding. In case you didn't know, my name is Melissa McKeown. I'm part of the Garden On team. And today, Garden On is calling our service Saving the Earth One Plant at a Time. We will be sharing our mission here at UUCW to help preserve and nurture our own little piece of the earth and how we came to this mission and our spiritual growth through planting natives here. We'll think about how this piece of earth has belonged to others. We are only its stewards today. We'll be happy to answer questions later on in the service. So if you have a question and you are attending online, please send it to us. At the close of our service, we invite you to help yourself to a native plant over under the trees. As we go through the service, our Garden On team members will be sharing their personal reflections on gardening and native plants. We're sure that you will find echoes in our sharings of your own experience. As we prepare to light our chalice, Garden On's first leader, Betty Genuine, will share her reflection.
It is with great joy that I stand beside a magnificent bouquet of native plants, which came from Leo da Silva's home garden. It is with gratitude that I thank Leo and Carol Howe for opening my eyes to native plants. I was originally leading the garden committee when Carol asked if we could use native plants. Later in the process, Leo joined our committee and brought an abundant wealth of native plant knowledge to our process. Under Leo and Carol's tutelage and enthusiasm, I've grown to appreciate this pollinator-friendly way of gardening. My previous experience had been vegetables and a few herbs. My horizons have been widened about the importance of native plants to the interdependent web of life, and I'm planting them in my home gardens now. I feel lucky to be part of the transformation of UUC's gardens to native-focused. Oh, okay. But are you reading something first? No. Oh, just okay. Our chalice lighting is from Doug Tallamy's book, Nature's Best Hope. Lucky for us, the ecological Armageddon we have been so blindly encouraging is largely reversible if we simply adopt a new relationship with nature. We can save the natural world and ourselves, for we are part of it, and it is an inextricable and essential part of us if we stop segregating ourselves from nature and learn to live as part of it.
Hi, so I'm Leo da Silva, and I'm going to talk about why native plants. Over the past century, urbanization has taken intact habitat and replaced it with lawns and exotic ornamental plants. In the US, we have lost 150 million acres of habitat to farmland, cities, and sprawling suburbs. We have replaced these habitats with lawns and exotic plants that are unable to sustain life. Native plants are those that occur here naturally. They are the ecological basis of all wildlife. Without them, wildlife will simply disappear. Unfortunately, when we go to get plants for our yards, it is hard to find native plants. Most plants we find at the big box stores and local nurseries are exotic plants from different areas and even different continents. We will still have the choice to bring native plants back to our yards. And these are some benefits of native plants. They're low in maintenance. Once established, native plants generally require little maintenance, including no additional watering. They're also beautiful. Many native plants offer beautiful, showy flowers, produce abundant, colorful fruits and seeds, and brilliant seasonal changes in colors, from the pale greens in early spring to the vibrant yellows and reds of the autumn. They're healthy. They're healthy for people. Native plants require no fertilizer or other chemicals to thrive. The traditional suburban lawn, on average, has 10 times more chemical pesticides per acre than farmland. By choosing native plants for our landscaping, we're not only helping wildlife, but we are creating a healthier place for yourself, your family, and your community. It also helps with climate. Landscaping with native plants can combat climate change. Many native plants, especially long-living ones like oaks and maples, are effective ways of storing greenhouse gas, carbon dioxide. We also can conserve water. Because native plants are adapted to local environment conditions, they require far less water, saving time, money, and perhaps the most valuable natural resource, water itself. And they're good for wildlife. In addition to providing vital habitat for birds, many other species of wildlife benefits as well. The colorful array of butterflies and moths, including the iconic monarch, the swallowtails, tortoise shells, and the beautiful blues, are all dependent on very specific native plant species. Native plants provide nectars for pollinators, including hummingbirds, native bees, butterfly, moths, and bats. They provide protective shelter for many mammals. The native nuts, seeds, and fruits produced by these plants offer essential foods for all forms of wildlife. Growing native plants can also be very rewarding. It makes us feel good that we're doing our part to create and sustain life and help nature to heal.
Good morning, all. I'm so glad you came out on this. Good morning. Thank you for coming out on this naturey day. Thank you. I was planning to talk about my experiences of gardening and how I came to embrace native plants, and how my sister Gail, who was a native gardener, what she taught me, and how she taught me how to plant and to recognize native plants and their goodness. However, last week, I met the first monarch caterpillar that our new gardens birthed. I had been checking the common, I'm very emotional, so I had been checking the common milkweeds for days, but no eggs. Occasionally, we would see a monarch butterfly, so it gave me hope. Then I started checking the butterfly milkweed, a native plant. We had planted on the berm along Shore Drive and in 2 other places. To my surprise and excitement, there was a big caterpillar, monarch caterpillar, and then another. Never one to be enamored by crawly things. Suddenly, I was converted. I visited the gardens twice a day, checking on the progress of the caterpillars, and would point them out to anyone who chose to see them. Linda Morris came over, and Lynn Gostila would come, and we would confer on the progress of our caterpillars. 2 on one plant, 1 on a plant in the rain garden, and then 1 plump caterpillar on a plant in the Fellowship Hall garden. And the next day we had a 1/4 inch baby. At one point we had 9 monarch caterpillars and 1 chrysalis. And my heart was bursting with joy. One person said, Carol, you don't have to come twice a day. I'll come the other one of the days. And I said, this is my joy. This is my joy. Then the chrysalis was blown to the ground. And as of September 2nd, there was 1 caterpillar. My joy was short-lived, and I struggle now with letting nature do what it will, or intervening to preserve elements of nature that are central to our ecosystem. Please join me in a guided imagery to our new rain basin, an example of the interdependent web. I can see many people have meditated. They're getting in the position. Ordinarily, I would say it in a very soft voice, but I want to make sure you hear. Close your eyes, breathe through your nose and out through your mouth, and let the stresses of the days, of the months, of the year float away. Place your feet on the ground as you acknowledge that this land is where the Nipmunks roamed, raised their families. Perhaps they fished in North Pond, which we call Indian Lake, or ate the cattails that grew in the marshes along the pond. The Nipmunks were known as good stewards of the land. Now move in your mind's eye to our rain basin. If your mind wanders, choose to return to your breath and this journey. Let us stand in front of the hairy mountain mint, the flowering plant most active with pollinators in our garden. Honeybees and docile bumblebees, which you can stroke when they're resting. Look closely at the flower, a composite of little white flowers with a green center. Move on to the yellow, showy goldenrod, newly in bloom, and to the early sunflower, no longer in flower, but already providing birds with seeds. In the center of the basin is the tall, long-flowering cutleaf coneflower. Looking to the shorter plants, we see spotted bee balm and the enchanting downy wood mint, also known as the pagoda flower. Yellow, pink, lavender, mauve, hundreds of flowering plants, sedges and grasses and trees. Our attention is drawn to one of America's best known butterfly, the monarch. Thus, we have met one of our goals. You plant and they come. We stand in a circle in our mind's eye on the lip of the basin in awe. We are a community. We are as one with nature.
Thank you, Carol, for that beautiful meditation and your okay, and your personal reflection. Good morning, everyone. I am Ruth Silver. So growing up, my family never gardened. I continued this pattern until like 15 years ago when I moved to a new home and I had a small 2x2 area in the front. I attempted to plant a few things, but I really didn't know what I was doing. Last year, I was having a conversation with Betty Genuine, who started the church's Garden On team. She was telling me about the group, and I thought, here's an opportunity for me to learn how to plant. Knowing that I had no gardening experience, Betty nonetheless invited me to attend a meeting. I was hooked. After helping to plant over 2,000 plants in our newly acquired land, I now know how to plant. This has given me the confidence to plant in my own garden. Excuse me. Planting a seedling in my garden, tending to it, and watching it grow into a beautiful plant feels like a miracle to me. Thank you, Betty, for giving me this gift. But I also learned much more. Carol Howe urged us to plant natives as opposed to non-natives. Being new to gardening, I had no idea what the difference was and why natives. And some of this is, I'm going to be repeating a little bit of what Leo just said. First of all, what are natives? Well, natives are plants that have been in our area naturally for millennia and have evolved to be self-sustaining, meaning they don't require any additional water, fertilizers, or pesticides, which is a big plus for our environment. They also co-evolved alongside local wildlife, insects, and pollinators, creating a rich biodiversity and a healthy ecosystem. Non-natives, on the other hand, are plants that were introduced to this area by the Europeans around 1496. Because they hadn't evolved to be self-sustaining like natives, many require fertilizers and pesticides, which contribute to climate change. And lawns are the worst offenders of all. In addition to using fertilizers and pesticides, they require additional water, which is our precious resource. In fact, just this past June, Nevada, the first in the nation, enacted a permanent ban on certain categories of grass in an effort to conserve water, even offering residents up to $3 per square foot to tear out grass and replace it with drought-tolerant landscaping. Additionally, if the lawnmowers are fuel-powered, then you have a problem with emissions too. So just to recap, why natives? Natives, first of all, are never invasive. They don't cause any harmful effects on the environment. Invasive plants are always non-natives. They can take over and lead to the extinction of native plants and animals, destroy biodiversity, and permanently alter habitats. It's true that some non-natives, non-invasive plants do provide shelter and food and some food options for wildlife. However, native plants generally support a greater diversity and number of wildlife. This includes the bees, butterflies, and birds we love to see in our gardens. Natives do a better job of sequestering carbon and cleaning our water than non-natives. And once established, natives save on water, they're low maintenance, they reduce pesticide and fertilizer use and create a habitat for native life. Entomologist Douglas Tallamy is quoted as saying, "In the past, we have asked one thing of our gardens, that they be pretty. Now they have to support life, sequester carbon, feed pollinators, and manage water." Planting more natives and reducing the size of our lawns is a way to contribute in a positive way to fight climate change and not contribute to it. As spiritual beings, we want to care for our planet for future generations. This is what we're doing here at church. We hope you will consider doing likewise in your backyard. And next, we're going to Leo, do you want to just pass these out, please? I'm not sure if I have enough. Okay, so we're going to have some music now. And the classic Cat Stevens song, Where Do the Children Play, is one of the most popular, environmentally insightful songs in popular recording history. Its brilliance lies in the fact that while it recognizes and acknowledges human progress, such as in one of the verses, well, I think it's fine building jumbo planes or taking a ride on a cosmic train. It also raises the question, what are the consequences of all these technological advances? Are they destroying our natural world? Are they leaving any green spaces for the children, for our children to play in? The song calls for awareness and restraint to ensure that future generations have a balanced world in which to play, a place for children to play.
You can smile, building jumbo plane, taking a ride. Switch on the sun from the slot machine. Get what you want if you want it, but you can get anything. We've come a long way, changing day to day. But tell me, why did the children play? Where you run roads, move a fresh green grass. Where you lorry loads, open the skies. We make them long, and you make them tall, but they just go on, and it seems that you can't get off. We've come a long way, we're changing day to day. Tell me, where did the children play? You crack the sky, straight as fill the air. Where you keep on building high till there's no more room up there. Where you make us laugh, where you make us cry, where you tell us when to live, where you tell us when to die. I know we've come a long way, we're changing day to day. Tell me, where did the children play?
It might have been in the 70s.
The 72.
Yeah, yeah, it was amazing.
Thank you, Ruth. I'm still Melissa. And this is my personal reflection about gardening. When I was a child, gardening was a big chore, something my dad made me do on beautiful summer days. I didn't love it, but I did love what came out of it. The juicy tomatoes and the crisp green beans from the vegetable garden. And then there was this beautiful array of bearded iris in my mother's flower garden. One day I picked one of those iris to study it, and I pulled it apart and I admired the crispness and the smell. My hands were all stained with pollen, and it was fun. That was nearly 50 years ago. But just over 20 years ago, one deep, dark winter, I bought a house. And, oops, is it okay? Many weeks later, actually, when we were ready to sign papers, it was April. And as I drove by the house with some people to show them the house I was about to buy, I saw that those dead looking bushes in the front yard were azaleas, and they were ablaze with fuchsia flowers, and it was beautiful. I became a gardener, I think, right then and there. I learned when to plant and when to prune and what bloomed when. And since Leo and Carol have introduced us to the gardening team, to natives, I have learned so much more. How to not just take care of my own little piece of the earth, but how to contribute to the well-being of the whole earth. And that fills me with joy. And speaking of joy, we come to that time in our service when we pause and consider that which we carry in our hearts and minds this morning. Joys and sorrows that are given another measure of meaning because we have the capacity to share them with a group of friends that claim us as a co-journeyer. So I invite you to come and speak briefly into the microphone. Give us your name first so that we might come to know each other better. If you are joining us online and wish to have a joy or sorrow shared, please add it to the comments preceded by please read so that we can find it quickly and speak your words aloud for all to hear. Are there joys or sorrows to be shared today? Okay, well, while they're doing that, let me share a little Garden On team joy. You may have noticed we're all wearing our Garden On t-shirts. And when you read about our Garden in Progress in the message, you'll be seeing this logo as well. And we want to share the joy this gives us and recognize the artist in our midst. In this congregation, we have a lot of artists, but this artist designed this logo for us. Her name is Jane Moorhoughton, and we want to honor her immense talent that's brought to life what we're all about. And Jane, if you're watching, thank you, everybody.
Facebook types. I have a joy. This week, the college students came back. And last year, since everything was all virtual, we had a really hard time keeping the groups going. And we ended the year with one person on each campus to run the groups. As of yesterday, we have 3 new people in the UU group at WPI, 18 people signed up at Clark U, and 10 pagans meeting, and 20 on the list for pagans. Big surprise. I also advised the pagan group because, let's face it, I'm a UU pagan, and it helps. And very often the people in the pagan group end up UUs before they're done anyway. So I am so excited, terrified that I had my first time going in for the pooling test for the COVID where they said you have to come back. And I went, ah! So I'm going to keep wearing a mask. Thank you very much. I'm okay. I'm negative, but I don't want to go through that anxiety. It's horrifying. So yes, that is my great, amazing joy that campus ministry is alive and growing and happy, and yay.
Okay, I have a joy because it's my idea of fun, but we're going to have another flea market. And so September 25th. So spots are filling up fast, but we got plenty of room out in the front and over here on the side and in the back. So contact me.
Hi, my name's Catherine. I'm going to pick up on what Cheryl was saying. This is a really important time of year for me and for many of us. I've been in academics for all my life as a college professor, so I've been in school forever and ever. And so this is a really important time of year for me and for so many families. And my sister has a son who just left for college, and she brought him to his college campus yesterday. And she texted the sister group last night. And she said, "I held it together. I didn't cry. I'm so happy for him. I'm so proud." She said, and then I went up to his bedroom and he had made his bed before he left. And she said, he has never made his bed. And it just brought me to these like sort of sweet tears of, you know, as kids transition, he left his mom a little message that he's leaving the house. So I'm just thinking about all these families that are going through this right now, and my heart's with all of them.
Hey, my name's David. I do have a joy today. I'm able to attend this service. Sober and clean. I'm coming up on 5 months of sobriety. In 2018, I got 2 years, just shy of it, and then there was a relapse. I lived in Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm from Western Mass originally, and it brought me back up here. And it was a struggle with the winter, and it was a struggle going through that relapse. It was very dark. It was very, very dark. Isolation, regret, remorse. But I was able to find an incredible sober network in Worcester. I never would have thought I would have found it here. And I've made some great connections, and I'm able again to be here today and enjoy life, through a different set of lenses. So that is a great joy for me. With that, there also comes a sorrow. Currently in Washburn House Extended Care Program, and we lost a very close friend just a little less than 2 weeks ago. She succumbed to the lifelong battle that I'm fighting as well. So her name was Jessica Tappan, and she did pass away just a few weeks ago at the center that we were at, and it affected all of us. So if you could keep her in your prayers, please. Thank you.
I'm not sure if this is joy or sorrow. I'm asking for joy as a person who identifies as female for all of the issues facing women worldwide, whether it be in Afghanistan or Texas. If you could just lift up your motherly love for all of us. Thanks.
Hi, good morning. My name's Brenda, and I have a joy. I am back here for the first time in many years. I was a teen, yes, I was a teen here in LRY and have just really fond memories. And Jan and I have become good friends over the last 2 years. And she kept telling me about this wonderful garden project. I'm a horticulturalist. And I kept listening and kept listening. And finally I said, and where is this that you're doing it? And when she ever told me that it was here, I was just blown away. So the synchronicities are just amazing, and more wonderful to see you. So anyway, that's my joy. LRY, yes, great times. It feels like it was just yesterday. So yeah, wonderful to be here.
For those of you who didn't hear, LRY is Liberal Religious Youth. That's what they used to call the youth program? Oh, okay. I'm not going to ask how long ago that was. No, but but I hear it was 50 years ago. All right. Yes, yes. Let me bring you. I can do it.
Hi, it's Mara Pentlarge. It's a joy to be here in person. I came here by Uber. It's my first time feeling confident enough since my leg was broken 2 months ago. So I've been mostly in the house, but yesterday my husband took me out to Savers, to an ice cream place, to the West Boylston Rail Trail, and then my son and his family came and we had a cookout. It was the best day of the past 8 weeks. And today is looking pretty good too.
Is this where it was? Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you, everyone, for sharing your joys and concerns with us. At this time, our morning offering will be received. And as the collection is conducted, we hope you enjoy this musical encouragement to plant natives. It's coming. Slight technical difficulties. Absolutely. All right, we'll do our encouragement at the end then. Leo, want to do your reflection?
Growing up in Brazil, I had a neighbor with an awesome garden. I remember going there to walk around and wait for the hummingbirds. It was such a magical moment to watch the hummingbirds, their sound, their iridescent colors, the way they moved so fast, but also how they could be so still in the air, the way they seemed to pause time. I also love to watch all the different bees and butterflies. I loved it so much that I started going there pretty much every day after school. One day, Mrs. Dreyer asked me which plant was my favorite. I pointed to a small shrub with white flowers. She then cut a couple branches of the plant and told me to stick it in the ground and keep it watering. I didn't believe her at first. I didn't believe it would grow, but a couple of months later, this little stick that had lost all its leaves, it started to sprout. That was the moment that I got hooked on gardening. Around that shrub, I started my very first garden bed. Many years later, I moved to the US. When I arrived here, I remember thinking, where are all the butterflies and the hummingbirds? I just thought that there were none around here. But one day, after visiting the Garden in the Woods in Framingham and learning the importance of native plants, it all clicked. If I wanted to have life around my house, I needed to plant natives. For many years now, I have been replacing exotic plants and adding native species to my yard. It is a haven for bees, butterflies, birds, and myself. My garden has become my sanctuary. It is a place that makes me happy. It is where I can witness the circle of life. It is where I can go to recharge and meditate. It is my refuge in the moments of uncertainty and pain. In the past Tuesday, I lost one of my aunts. I went to the backyard to sit quiet, and the sadness of losing her washed over me and made me cry. All of a sudden, a hummingbird appeared, colorful, joyful, magical as always, like my aunt. He came to remind me that life is beautiful, and in the process of healing nature, we can also heal ourselves.
Thank you, Leo. We understand that the planting of natives may be new to some of you and that you may have questions about native plants and our plantings here at UUCW. So at this time, if anybody has any questions about natives, we'll be happy to answer your questions. I'm going to let Leo and Carol answer the questions. Leo, these came from Leo's garden.
This one is called Showy Goldenrod, Joe Pye weed, New York ironweed. This one is Calico aster, short tooth mountain mint, and these are spent flowers of the cup plant. These are the flowers here, and then when the petals fall, these are the seed heads. And yep, that's all we have there. So we have this plant available if you guys want to take it home. So it's a showy goldenrod because it's really showy. And a lot of people think that goldenrods cause allergies, which is not the case. The pollen doesn't really disperse in the air like so you can get allergies, but you have to really get close and get the pollen in. It doesn't really fly in the air. Yep.
You know what? I have a question. I grew up in Texas, and the Indian paintbrush plant, is that a native plant per se, or would that be considered exotic up here? Because it's so beautiful.
So I think that it's not native to our region, but we can still have the choice to grow it. It's all about introducing natives and replacing them, and we feel like we don't have to do natives, just natives. We can kind of mix things together. Not to our area, no. Yeah, no. I know what plant it is. It's like red and it's really beautiful. Yeah.
So I planted milkweed, swamp milkweed. And my question is, it's growing well, but a lot of times other, like the goldenrod will, kind of grow a lot more. So should I cut the other ones around it to kind of, so it doesn't get smothered out, or will it just kind of reseed over the yard?
So there's one species of goldenrod, which is called the Canada goldenrod, that they can really they expand a lot. So a lot of people it's not really a plant for garden beds per se. If you have like a wild area that you just want to let it go, it's a good plant. But the Canada goldenrod tends to kind of smother other plants. So it is okay to, remove them around the swamp milkweed.
Anyone else have any questions?
I think I actually have an answer for the Indian paintbrush. plant. It says here that it's native to the west of the Americas from Alaska, south to the Andes, northern Asia, and one species as far east as the Kola Peninsula in northwestern Russia.
Great, thank you. Were there any questions online? No, that's it. Okay. Okay, great. All right, now we'll have a reflection from Janet.
Hi, my name is Janet Cutman, and my title of my speech is I am a work in progress. Okay, I am a work in progress. How could that possibly be true? I mean, really, I have a yard full of pretty plants. My gardens radiate with lovely perennials. They bloom all season long. I faithfully maintain my gardens. I'm mulching, I'm watering, I'm fertilizing. Thought I was doing everything right until I was proud of my gardens until I started to educate myself. And here's one example about what I learned about my choices. One year, I went to a local nursery because I wanted a tree. I said, what do you recommend? He said Akusa dogwood, which is this tree, which in the spring is absolutely gorgeous. I was happy until I learned that Akusa dogwood supports 0 caterpillars. 0. Big number. Compare that to a native flowering dogwood that supports 170 types of caterpillars. Okay, so wait, why is that important? It's important because birds feed their young squishy little caterpillars, not birdseed. Birdseed will kill babies, just like babies want soft stuff, not adult food. So, no caterpillars, no thriving birds, no baby birds, no adult birds. Simple. We need microorganisms. We need insects. We need pollinators. Got that hint yet? We need birds. We need a thriving and balanced ecosystem. Now, I believe most of us are conditioned, like me, to like the pretty plants we see for sale in our local nurseries. Truth is, my very lovely garden is a food desert for the very creatures I thought I was pleasing. They will partake, but just like us, what we eat needs to be healthy. Well, if you don't, come on, you know what happens. If the birds and the pollinators that are native to our part of the plant can't find the specific plants they evolved to need, they will not thrive. It's as simple as that. Gorgeous flowers that are native to some other part of the world are not a good source of food for the insects and other creatures that live here. The thing that didn't occur to me is every square foot of land is used somehow or left alone. We turn it into parking lots, we turn it into lawns, we turn it into buildings, we turn it into our own gardens, we do native gardens, we do other kinds of gardens. Every square inch got something. This does not look like what this looked like 400 years ago. So there are many reasons for asphalt and monoculture lawns that are detrimental. That's a whole separate service or 10. Our choice to have pretty gardens has some negative impacts. We've already covered those so many times. So the question is how not to feel defeated. Because I don't want anybody to walk away here feeling defeated. Start small. Start with a plant. Start with 2 plants. And guess what we're doing at the end of the service? Stop to think about the possibility of purchasing natives instead of foreign plants the next time you add a plant or 2 to the garden. So you don't have to bulldoze everything and start over. Okay, he's going to kill me. You have to start thinking messy. You don't have any idea how hard that is for me to say because I am not a messy gardener. But here's the rationale. In the forest, when leaf litter collects, it forms a natural mulch that helps suppress weeds. Those same fallen leaves serve to protect the plant roots and from temperature extremes. The dead leaves are are food for billions of microorganisms. Remember that we need microorganisms that break down into the nutrients our plants need. The idea is to stop seeing leaves as a problem and start seeing those fallen leaves as a gorgeous gift to our friends, the trees. It's killing me to do this, okay? But when we resist the incredible urge to clean up our gardens until after the temperature consistently is above 50 degrees, we protect many of the butterflies, bees, and other pollinators overwinter in our dead leaves and hollowed out stems of last year's plants. It's best to clean up in the late spring. I'm going to see how I'm a work in progress, okay? See how that works. But I'm also extremely happy with my new understanding of how my behavior can either adversely affect or lovingly enhance the world that I live in. And I'm starting to aim for the enhancing option, and I hope I can convince the rest of you to join me.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Jan, and the whole Garden On team. Thank you guys so much. Good job. And our team that set us up electronically here at great risk to their lives in the rain. And thank you, everyone, for. Okay. Thank you for attending our summer service. We hope you enjoyed thinking about how we are nurturing our little piece of earth here at UUCW. And we invite you to begin your own native plant garden at home by taking home a plant today. At the conclusion of our service, we will also be touring the gardens here. If you want to brave the rain, it's really very light rain. So we'll be touring the gardens. Please join us by the picnic tables if you'd like to come. And now we will have, yes? We have one more thing before you hit play. We would like to present these flowers to our first Garden On team leader, Betty Genuine, who looks really surprised. Mother Nature. Thank you, Betty. All right, so now we're going to get encouragement to plant natives, and feel free to enjoy yourselves and get ready to come and get a plant. If you don't see the plant on the table, we have more out back and we can go and get it. Don't worry. Out back in our warehouse, we have your size.